All right, y'all. Welcome back and happy Wednesday. Happy hump day. I hope that y'all's day is going well. I hope that y'all's morning is going well. Still got a little bit of a ways to go, but obviously we've had some. I mean, this transfer poll is crazy, right? It's just a whole lot of ups and downs. Yesterday, I was feeling great. Then we get the news last night that Jordan Ross is leaving us. He's going to hit that transfer portal. And it was like a massive freak out. It's been a freak out over everything, whether it's in some ways maybe it could be positive. I mean, it just feels like everything's amplified and maybe in more of like a negative way. So I'm just curious, man, like how many people are actually freaking out right now? I don't know that there are some things obviously today that we're going to be talking about that I don't necessarily like. And we talked about that yesterday too. Like there's things that the staff I feel like is doing that it's not maybe great, but there is still definitely hope. So what I'm going to be doing today, talk about Jordan Ross. We'll show you some of the rooms on this team, what's left, and then what targets do we have left. I think that that'll give y'all some optimism, right? Because Tennessee is actually still doing some very positive things. I wish that we would have moved a little bit quicker in some of these situations, but this is where we're at. We just got to do better moving forward, man. Like we have to finish strong. And I do think that Tennessee can do it. So that's pretty much where I'm at. That's just like the opening thoughts. And y'all please do make sure to like and subscribe to the channel. I will be tapping into the chat, members and super chats. Of course, y'all will be going first. But before all that, let me get to my regular like ones and twos. The first thing that we have to do every day until we get a strength coach is talk about Scott Cochran. Got to go talk to him. Got to try to get him. Go get the best strength coach possible. He would be the best strength coach possible. Head coach at West Alabama right now. But he might not want to stay there. So just find out what the heck is going on. And also, we had to slow down that tempo. Got to do less of that. Got to have some checks at the line of scrimmage, so on and so forth. We talk about it every day. And like I said, we will continue to talk about it every single day. I'm going to tap into the chat. But let me also tell y'all this. Yesterday, man, I was on the phones a lot, hearing what the heck's going on up there on campus, especially after the Jordan Ross situation. So I have some information. I'm going to, again, let y'all peek behind the curtain. But today for the members, we're gonna have a pretty solid conversation, man. I'm gonna talk to y'all. So if y'all want to be part of that, if y'all want the film breakdowns and all that type of stuff, then y'all can join us as members on YouTube by clicking on the join button just below this video, or on Patreon at patreon.com/Bluechip Breakdown. Last thing, last like little plug. Make sure to go and check this patreon.com/SEC All 22 Film. Check it out, man. If you like All 22 Film, if you're a football junkie, then you're going to love this. They've got all of Tennessee stuff up there. They've got all of the portal targets and all of that type of stuff. If you really want to see how they look, then this is where you can go and find them. We have Sam Levitt. He's supposed to be visiting us. Is it today? I think it might be later on tonight. So I've told y'all I'm not super high on Sam Levitt. I know that Todd Simpson, he's going on to the NFL now. So Sam Levitt might be our best option. We got to go at a quarterback. It's either like a backup and you let or maybe a guy that can push George and Faison, or just like a backup, or it's a starter. I don't know that Sam Levitt is that dude, y'all. That's just me. But like I said, if y'all want to see it for yourself, if you want to see all of his throws and dropbacks over the course of good games and bad games, then go to patreon.com/SEC All 22 Film, and y'all can find it. All right, so let me go ahead and tap into this chat, man. Let me see what everyone's talking about. So, Koshi, appreciate you for being a member, bro. Thank you to everybody that is joining us. Saying, go Big Orange, go Vols. Was hoping that we could keep him. Yeah, man, I was hoping that we could have kept Ross, too. And this one's saying that it's crazy. It doesn't even matter. If players are going to start next year, they'll leave anyways. Yeah, man, everyone's got their, like, different things. And then Chet right here is saying that that I've been saying that this might happen for a while. Yeah, man, I try to keep the members in the loop. Chet, thank you so much for that plug, too, bro. J-Pat, what's going on, bro? Go Big Orange, FUGA. Hate losing Jordan Ross. His potential and ceiling was crazy. Now we are empty at edge. Got to get it in gear now. Yeah. So I think that maybe what you're talking about is something that I saw on VolQuest last night. I want to say that it was Austin Price might have come out and said that that his family said that they didn't feel comfortable with all the changes going on. And it's like, well, if you don't feel comfortable with the changes, then why would you go to a totally new situation? So we'll talk more about that in just a second. All right. This one from It's DK TV saying that this one stings a little, not gonna lie. Yeah, man. I definitely feel you on that. Okay. So this one, yeah, this is from J Patty saying that same thing that we just talked about. Um, okay. Yeah, so Ty Simpson's going on to the NFL, so he's not even an option at this point, unfortunately. And yeah, so Henry's talking about it right there. And J Pat saying that Texas Tech is writing blank checks. That's a fact. Okay. So now let's go ahead and move forward. Let me just bring this up real quick. Just take a quick little like snapshot of this. This is all the players that we've had up or that we will have up. The ones on the right. Actually, let me get to my notes here because I do want to talk about some players that are supposed to be visiting this week. If I can get this thing right. Okay. Where are we at? So you know what? I might just have to go off the top because I don't even know, my notes are all over the place. But Campbell, the linebacker from Penn State, he's supposed to be coming up on Friday. Kua Russo, and also James Smith, they're supposed to be coming up on Sunday. And who else do we have coming in? Kyan Lee, he's supposed to be up today. Actually, I think he might be up now. Tennessee's in a good spot there. Who else? There was somebody else that I wanted to talk about. Oh, and then there's a defensive tackle that we'll talk about here in just a second. But that's how that part of it looks. So let's move forward and let's start to talk about Jordan Ross. And the first thing that I want to show everybody is the Leo profile. Now, this is from Jim Knowles himself. We already showed this to our members. Like we gave them the full breakdown of like the Jim Knowles defense, right? Like it's not everything, but it gives you a very clear picture of what his mindset is, how he moves people in different spots. He talked a lot about Leos. So many folks are saying that that Jordan Ross and Caleb Herring and all these guys, that they didn't fit the size profile. Well, you can see it. Again, Jim Knowles made this himself. This is his stuff. This is his words, not mine. So he's saying that he wants for his Leos to be anywhere from 6'2 to 6'5 from a height perspective. From a weight perspective, 220 to 255. 40-yard dash, 4'5 to about 4'8. Obviously, and we'll take a look at the players, and they're well within the range. The other kid here, right? 6'5", 243. Okay, so they're all about the same size. The only player that's actually not in that like size range is Christian Gass, you know, and that's the only veteran that we have left inside of this Leo room. So yeah, we have to go add some people. But the players in orange, that's the upcoming freshmen. They're all pretty much within that size range as well, except for CJ Edwards. He's gonna have to gain some weight, but we anticipate that freshmen will put on the weight. All right, so had to say that first and foremost. But moving forward, right? Because I want to talk about like the rest of the defensive line. So this is the strong side end room. I don't know that Coach Knowles really has like a strong side end necessarily. He might call it something else, but this would be like the other ends. They all have good size, right? Again, Jaden Lofton, he's gone, but he would have been within that like size range. The other side, they're going to be a little bit heavier, but not by much. They're going to be just like this, y'all. I mean, they can maybe get up to about 275, maybe 280 if they can still move. All right. So y'all can see all that, right? Obviously, the stuff down at the bottom is not going to correlate to how the rooms look with the players leaving. I just did this so that y'all could see the sizes and all of that for the players that are leaving versus what we still have. But I think that we're still in a pretty good spot here, right? Like we probably need to go add another end to that room. But inside of the Leo room, I think we might need 2, maybe even 3 guys. All right, so defensive tackles. This was really a much bigger need heading into the portal than either end was. But now that we've lost players, they're all like it's all critical. But look at the sizes here, okay? Because people keep on talking about, man, our defensive tackles, they're just too small, and you know we're going out targeting bigger people. I do think that they were too small, but the people that we're targeting aren't that much bigger. And keep in mind that guys like Bryson Eason, who y'all will see his size here shortly, he's actually bigger than these guys. You know, Wendell Moy, or I'm sorry, not Wendell Moy, Jackson Moy, he's bigger than I think he was like 305. So we had guys that were over 300 pounds. He and I have been saying that what we really needed were guys that are over like 320, 330. Like that's what Tennessee, I feel like, needed because most of our guys have been right around 300 pounds. Obviously, guys like Ethan Utley at 285, we said, man, he's just really light. And we actually talked about him potentially moving over to play one of the ends. That's going to be important moving forward. All right. Keep in mind, Ethan Utley, 6'4", 285. But I think that we've got a lot of talent, y'all. There's so much talent already in the room and then coming up. So it's not like there is a lack of talent. Understand that, but we do want to definitely add, I think, more veterans to this room. All right, so now, moving forward, let's talk about what's left, or let's take a look at what's left real quick, and we will continue to talk about Jordan Ross as we're doing this. So what's left that's out there, just from like my kind of who I think would fit well, who I think is really good, because there's obviously going to be thousands of names, but it's about bringing in players who can freaking play. It's about having an upgrade, especially on that left side, defensive tackle. What I said heading into the portal was, hey man, look at the top two defensive tackles. Tennessee should be in on them. I think we're in on one of them, and that's Gilliam, who Tennessee actually got a crystal ball for. So that's very positive news. I didn't think that he was going to do it. He's actually the reason that Chaz Coleman visited us. So I felt like he liked us, but I also kind of felt like, man, maybe he's going to Notre Dame. So I don't know what we did, but we just have to close. And I'm going to give y'all some nuggets here in just a second. But James Smith, you can see his size, 6'3", 297. He's not over 300 pounds, but he's a defensive tackle. All right. So he's not really bigger than what we had. Kelby Collins, he's even smaller, 6'4", 275. He's not bigger than what we had. Now, Xavier Gilliam, again, 6'3", or I'm sorry, 6'2", 300 pounds. Not bigger than what we had. Now, this last guy, Francis, that's the defensive tackle that I was talking about. He's supposed to be coming up, I think, today, 6'2", 280. So these are not, like, we're not going out and getting these gigantic players. We're not even really targeting that. People think that that's the case, but that really, that really is not the case. But, and then there's another defensive tackle, I think, from Michigan. He's 6'3", 320. I would love to be able to, target him. But he is out there. I can't think of his name. Either way, for the defensive ends, Chaz Coleman, I mean, really good. He's going up to visit the Buckeyes today. I think that now with Jordan Ross leaving, whatever we offer him, I think that we need to offer him more, because I think that I would want to go get these top two guys. Now, we've been mentioned with Chaz Coleman, not so much with Damon Wilson. But those are the two at this point. I think that we pretty much have to get one of those guys. Pretty much have to. All right. As far as the other players, Keon Keeley, I think that he's good. He has good size, 6'5", 282. He's about the size of some of those defensive tackles. And then Kua Russo, also from Bama. There's several Bama guys up here. But, he's 6'2", 243, so he fits within that, like, Leo range. John Henry Daly, I think that he's still out there, coming from Utah. He fits within either Leo or maybe strong side in range. And then West from James Madison, he fits within that range for sure. Really, really big guy. Like, he's got excellent size. So now let's move forward, and let me show y'all this so that we can start to talk more about the whole Jordan Ross thing. What we have are defensive ends and also defensive tackles. If it's a defensive tackle, they're down at the bottom, and I've got, it says DT next to them so that y'all know, right? But it's just showing y'all their height, their weight, their pressure rate is actually organized based off of their pressure rate, and then their max speed in miles per hour. So the highest pressure rate is Chaz Coleman. He didn't play a whole lot last season, but when he played, he was getting pressure. It's at about 23%. James Pierce was at about the same spot last season, right? So obviously he can't get pressure on the quarterback, but he's young. It's a smaller sample size. And then you look at Damon Wilson, 6'4", 250, 17.5% pressure rate. It's higher than anybody on our team last season, right? Look at his speed, though, 20.2 miles per hour. The only player faster than him on this list is Jordan Ross at 20.3 miles per hour. Now, Jordan Ross has a lower pressure rate at 10.6%. I think some of that might have been due to the coaching. Some of that might have been due to the scheme. It felt like Jordan Ross was dropping into coverage too much, so on and so forth. But make no mistake about it, Jordan Ross is a freaking stud. Like, from a skill standpoint, he's outstanding. He can most definitely get it done. Really, I think that he was probably our best, like, Leo last season. But of course, he's not going to start over guys like Joshua Joseph, who had spent so much time with us. And I'd never fully understood why he wasn't starting over Caleb Herring. But I mean, I guess it's because Caleb Herring's older. But that just goes back to my point. Stop playing favorites. Stop playing the more veteran players if they're not better. Play the best players first and foremost, and then we don't have to worry about these types of things. I think that's a big part of why Jordan Ross left. Because if he was more of the guy, he probably would feel better about sticking around. But if I'm up there, if I'm working in the front office, which this is kind of like the nugget part of this that I wanted to touch on for y'all, right? I'm not 100% sure how things work as far as Heupel targeting players and how much say does the, I guess, like, GM sort of team with Billy High and all that. Who is the one that's really doing all of this? But what I can tell y'all is that word on campus, and don't shoot the messenger. Don't take it as like law. Just take it as what it is. It's just the word on campus. Is that Tennessee, y'all? Tennessee might be scheduling visits with like interns. We might have interns that are scheduling visits and making these calls to these players. In my opinion, that's inexcusable. If you are a head coach, if you're any coach, but I think especially Heupel, who is the head coach, knowing that your job is pretty much on the line, why would you put the scheduling of these visits in the hands of interns? He should have been personally, in my opinion, calling these players because, see, once they hit the portal, now Heupel can actually talk to them, right? Billy High, his whole team, if I'm the one setting it up, hey, look, y'all are the ones who do the tampering. Y'all work through all the like third-party sources. And I mean, you should have been doing it months ago and figuring out, hey, who's going where, who feels what, like how much is this going to cost, boom, boom, boom. And then start to set up the visits, I'd say about like a month out. A month before the transfer portal hits, we should have been setting up visits to get guys in that were on the top of our board, that were on the top of our freaking board. Get them in right here, right now. And then, you know, once things get more formal and they have officially hit the transfer portal, Coach Heupel is the one making them calls. And it's cool, I guess, that he's going out visiting high school players, but bro, you really don't have time for that. I'm just gonna shoot you straight. You don't have time to be worried about 2027 because you might not even be here if you can't get this stuff cleaned up, right? And that's just facts, bro. He's gonna have to close on these guys. We need to be tampering like everybody else. I don't think that we're quite doing it like that. I think that we're probably, in some ways, afraid of getting in trouble. But man, look, scared money don't make no money. What is the real penalty if they even catch you tampering? You have to sit out a daggone ball game? You can, earlier in the season, bro, you can miss a daggone ball game and we'll be perfectly fine. Perfectly fine. So yeah, I mean, if there are more guys that we like that are already on teams or that are still currently on teams and haven't hit the portal, go tamper with them and get them out. Like, stop playing around. And hopefully that is what we've been doing because we've seen more players hitting the portal. And it feels like it's kind of like lined up with our feels like a lot of those guys, Tennessee, is getting visits lined up pretty quickly. So you have to close. You better go and get Damon Wilson or Chaz Coleman, okay? Or at least bring Jordan Ross back. Like, anything outside of that more than likely won't be good enough because I can't even think of a better edge rushing candidate that would still be actually feasible at this point. I really can't. So they better be working overtime to get that done. You have to have good edges, but I am excited about Gilliam being crystal ball to us. Hopefully we can close out there. All right, so now let me tap back into the chat, man, because I've gone off. I've been going off. Hopefully everything has been working well and y'all could hear what all is going on. All right, so J Pat is saying that he could step it back like Carson Beck did. Yeah, that is possible, right? The only thing is he's going to have to do it quick. Like, he would have to do it really, really, really quick. And everyone switched to electric vehicles so Texas Tech doesn't receive more. Hey, that is hilarious, man. Yeah, they are rolling, though. They super loaded. But I also feel like the Texas Tech oil money and all of the, like, Tennessee has money. I'm just going to tell you, I think that we're probably working with the budget of 40 to about 50 million for the whole roster. That's plenty of money. So I don't think that we're losing players really from a lack of money necessarily, unless we're just being very frugal, which that's a huge problem. Sorry, Coach, I'm going to come right back to you. That would obviously be a huge problem. But I just think that the biggest issue so far has been the scheduling. You can't get guys in this late because some of these players they're not all going to Texas Tech. But once they go to Texas Tech, they are choosing them. But if Tennessee set the things up, got the guys in early, and gave them the proper offers, say, hey, you know what? We're going to give you what we think is a very fair offer. They come back with the counter. I mean, obviously, you don't ever want to try to lowball folks because then they just don't even want to conversate with you. You got to, pique their interest some, right? And then once the agents and, all of them, once they come back with the counter offer, okay, I mean, is it feasible? Is it maybe a little bit more than what you wanted? Well, if it's defensive tackle, if it's safety, then you're going to have to pay that, bro. If that's number one up on your board in those spots, you should have been doing that. Stop trying to save pennies, bro, because we need that first and foremost. That's so important to the defense. If it's strong, throughout the middle of your defense, the stuff on the outside, it's a little bit easier for them to operate, right? So that's where you save the money at. You save the money more in skill positions, not so much in with the people that got to play inside the box, not so much with the front seven. All right, so Coachy, sorry to keep you waiting, bro. All right, so Coachy's saying that he's not really freaking out, but only having one window amplifies a lot. Yeah, I mean, everything's got to get done right here, right now. There's no question, dog. Got to get it done. Oh man, appreciate this, bro. Appreciate this, bro. All right, so check. Oh, y'all, is the audio out? Audio out? Is the audio out, y'all? I want to make sure that it's still working. Okay, so some people can hear me, some people can't. Okay, all right. So I'm not sure that it might have been something with my internet there. All right. So yeah, everything should be good. Are things still going in and out? Let me see. I'm gonna come on down. Okay, all right. So everything's good. All right, sorry y'all. That could have been something going on with my internet. All right, so let me keep on going. Hopefully y'all didn't miss too much. But let me jump back in here. All right, so Gryffindor. Then that he just got here, and it may have been covered, but why did we lose so many defensive linemen when it was thought if Chop left that they'd stay? Was losing to him a mistake because we lost everyone anyways? I don't think so. I think that it's something that we'll talk more with the members on. But yeah, I don't think that, obviously, yeah, if we would have held on to Chop, we might have lost even more players than what we're losing right now. But we did tell members before that there was a possibility that we could lose several more players that we really, really wanted. Now, I'm going to keep on checking and make sure that everything is good as far as the audio. Hey, look, appreciate y'all for letting me know, too. That's great looking out. All right, so next is Dirty Higgins. And Dirty Higgins is saying that he's starting to get worried that they're just going to punt on this upcoming season. Man, if they do that, then we need to make sure that we're just going ahead and fire everybody right now, because it's no point. There's no point to go through the motions, because if the season goes poorly, then we know that the staff is gone anyway. So just go ahead and cut ties now, but I don't think that's what they're doing at all. J-Pat, appreciate this, bro. Appreciate that so much. All right. All right, so everyone's saying that we're good as far as the audio. All right, so this right here saying that. So who's going to be here in 2027? Just come back and let me know who you're talking about. Who's going to be here in 2027? All right, so Jeff with the super chat. Thank you, Jeff. So Jeff saying that it's going to be another one of those seasons where we're weak and empty at a couple of places again, if we're using freaking interns. Yeah, I think that needs to be corrected expeditiously. Let me play this clip for you, dog. Yeah, I think that's again, it's more of like a rumor, I guess, but I've heard it a few different times, so there must be some truth to it. Maybe it only happened once, but if it happens once, that's one time too many. Like, this is too important, bro. Like, you can't be playing around with this stuff. Okay, so now let me jump back into this thing, y'all. Let me move this thing forward, and let's keep it going. So now let's talk about safeties. So we haven't lost any safeties from the current roster yet. I think that we got some good ones coming up, right? So we'll see what happens as we kind of like move forward with all these safeties that we have coming up. But I did want to bring y'all back to this that's showing you the safety sizes and their speed. The kid up at the top, Ty Benefield from Boise State. I told y'all early on, like, I haven't heard a whole lot of smoke about him. Maybe I just haven't been looking in the right places, but I hadn't heard a whole lot of smoke about him. But I told y'all, watched him on film, and he looked incredible. And I just saw yesterday that LSU picked him up. Like, and this is the craziest thing. Actually, what I'll do is I'll put out, because I already had cut-ups. I was ready to do his film breakdown. I was very excited to do his film breakdown. But I have some cut-ups that I'll put out for all the members so that y'all can see what I had going for him. It's going to be good and bad. But 6'2", 205, 22.4 miles per hour, comes downhill, very physical, versatile run. He had like 100 and something tackles. The craziest thing, and the biggest knock that I had on him, and what other coaches probably had on him, is that he actually missed 28 tackles. But the caveat to it is he missed 28 tackles because he's all over the field. He was in places that he really shouldn't have been. You know what I mean? So, like, he was missing tackles from that perspective. You know, like, he's beating on a whole lot of those plays, beating like the rest of his team from 10, 15 yards away to the football, and he's kind of like barely getting there. So, okay, that counts as a missed tackle. But if you cut his film on, like as far as doing everything, he can do everything. Coverage looks really good too. But as I was going through his film with the cut-ups, there are plays, and this is going to sound wild to y'all, but there were plays that reminded me of Eric Berry. And understand that Eric Berry is my favorite Tennessee Vol of all time. So I don't say that type of stuff lightly. I'm not saying that he is Eric Berry, but he looked a lot like a bigger version of him. And I think that Lane Kiffin saw that because obviously Kiffin got to Coach Berry. So y'all gonna see it. Once we put it out there, y'all will know what it won't take you long. You're gonna know exactly what we're talking about. But the whole point is that how the hell is he not even being mentioned with Tennessee? Because I think that he was overall the best safety option, in the portal period. And I'm sure that they knew about him. I don't care why he didn't make it to campus. He just didn't. So somebody is not, in my opinion, doing a good enough job. Might be several somebodies. And that leaves a very bad taste in my mouth. But I did want to start off right there. The other kid that P really likes, I also like him too, is Marvin Burks. Marvin Burks, he's still out there. So y'all can see him kind of like in the middle of this list. Now, moving forward, I want to talk about corners, and we will talk about what's left out there in the portal. But let me first touch on corners. This is how the room looks. Again, if it's red, then they're gone. Ricky Gibson is gone. He ain't coming back. Not to my knowledge. I think that he's totally gone. Probably going to end up at another SEC school. But love Tyler Redmond. I think that Tim Merritt, he's got some good things. I think that Trey, he did a nice job inside of the bowl game. We got some good young freshmen coming up, really like Zay Anderson, but it's not enough depth inside of this room. So that leads us to this. Who's still left out there that I've identified and I said, okay, maybe you could take a swing at him? Well, Lyric Rawls, he just left today. So I think he's supposed to be going to visit Texas, which that's a problem. That is a problem. And then we've got Lane. That's the safety from Penn State. Like him, I had to go back and double check on him because I actually liked King Mack more, but from what I heard on VolQuest, King Mack is further down in the pecking order for us. And I think that he's actually maybe crystal balled or something to NC State. So I don't know. But yeah, I mean, obviously this guy's bigger. So definitely like that, like the bigger players. And then we've got Marvin Burks Jr., who I just talked about. He has really good size. He's a daggum striker. Want to go and add him. Edwin Joseph, potentially. But then at corner, Kyan Lee, like I said, I think we're in a really good spot for him. So he's up today. Wouldn't be surprised if, maybe something happens. Really, really good corner. Need to add him. Pretty much have to add him. Quez White, love him too. Great size, looks really good. And then Kanye Thompson, haven't had a chance to watch his film yet, but I think the Tennessee's in a good spot there. So let me see. Because I thought that I saw something about maybe Ty Simpson entering into the portal. I don't know how true any of that stuff is, but we are going to get back to it. Let me pull this back up, man. Let me make myself bigger again. But obviously, cornerback is a place that I think that Tennessee really. Let me bring this back. I think that Tennessee might need to try to add all three of these guys. That's what I'd be doing. I would try to go get all three. I think that we need at least two of them, at least. And these are just true corners. And then I think from the safeties, I was hoping that we could add like maybe three true safeties, but I think that we need at least two true safeties. So maybe you go and get like Lyric Rawls and one of those other two guys, or maybe any combination of two of those players. Like I said, if you can get three, I think that's even better. So yeah, we still got some things that we have to do, and I think that we're in a good spot to hopefully be able to close out. All right, so let me see. Who else do we got as far as members? All right, so we don't have anything left for the members, not at this point, so let me get to some other people. Let's see what other folks are talking about. So Whimsical says that he doesn't like Ty Simpson. Well, man, look, I'm not sure if Ty Simpson's stuff is up there just yet. If it's not, it will be. Well, actually, might not be if he's for sure going pro. If he hits the portal, it will be up there. But go and check out patreon.com/SEC all 22 film and take a look at the quarterbacks on a play-by-play basis. Ty Simpson is by far, like him versus Sam Levitt, it's not even close. I don't think him really versus anybody out there is necessarily close. He's a totally different level of talent. Really is. He can run. He can throw on the run. I think that he processes very quickly, like for real processes and reads quickly, not just kind of like gimmicky offense. Oh, reads are built into it. No, I'm talking about like for real going through reads and actually processing, actually scanning the daggone football field. And he can throw it into some very tight windows down the field. I'm just going to keep it real with y'all. Sam Levitt's not really doing that. Like he'll do it sometimes, but he's extremely inconsistent. I know that he's dealing with like a leg injury or whatever, foot injury. I'm not super high on him. Not that I'm not trying to dog him, but I'm just keeping it real. That's just where I'm at. All right. So I'm the only one talking bad about Chop. If you're talking to me, I'm the only one shooting y'all straight then, because that's not even like a secret. And actually, I know that that's well. I was gonna say I know that that's not necessarily true because I've seen other people saying kind of like the same thing, but I think that because they work so closely with the university, that they're not just gonna straight up tell you that. But that is a fact. If y'all ever had the chance to talk to some players or any of that or like whatever, if y'all get to talk to a coach or anybody that's actually close to the program that's gonna shoot you straight, they'll tell you the exact same thing. So that's all that is. They're not gonna the people that work close with the university, they can't say everything like we can on this channel because we don't get fired if we say whatever. Like we work for us. We pretty much like work for y'all. So nah, yeah, that's I trust me when I tell you that is a fact. All right, so this one right here. Saying that Ty Simpson declared for the draft. He's already talked about it. Yeah. So that one's pretty much done. Levitt when he comes to you all today. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure that they will. And I don't think there's anything wrong with having a conversation. Is he maybe the best quarterback option that's left out there? It's possible. I haven't looked at everybody. So I haven't looked at every single player out there. So it's possible that maybe he is. I mean, I feel like, man, you might as well just roll with George and see what happens. Because in all honesty, if Sam Levitt comes in, does George leave? Because if you take a Sam Levitt at about, we'll call it $3.5 million or something like that, and then you lose George, well, maybe you gained about $1 million or something like that. I don't know how much he's getting paid, but I think that's a problem because then you have to go out and get back up from the portal anyway. And it's like, did you really want to make that trade-off between Sam Levitt and George McIntyre, who I think George McIntyre's ceiling is significantly higher than Sam Levitt's is? But again, that's just me. So this one is saying that as long as Danny White is here, money stream is coming. And the money stream is coming, Hyper is staying. I don't know. I would have to disagree with that, man. Because like you said, it really is all about bottom line stuff. I think that Danny White is a bottom line person. If people stop showing up to the games or any of that, I don't think that he'd be afraid to fire Coach Hyper. I really don't. I don't think that he's scared to make that move. So people feel some people feel however they feel about Danny White. I don't really have any problems with him personally, but you're gonna, I think, like him in those types of situations where he's not gonna just wait forever to fire somebody. I also don't think he's gonna be too quick with the trigger. You gotta give some grace and all that, give him a chance to get it right. But hopefully Coach Heupel can get it right himself, and and we don't even have to keep talking about that because I don't like talking about it. I've said that so many times previously, but like over the past month or so, I've had to keep talking about it because that's pretty much where we've been at. All right, so Hennessy is saying that our staff is slow or swear they act like they can slow play these kids. Now we see while we get 5 players a year from the portal, our staff is weak at communicating. No wonder game day sucks. So, I mean, look, it's hard for me to fully argue with all of that because, that's kind of how it's looked up to this point. But if they finish strong, then that's really all that matters. You just have to go out and get the players. It's not really how you start all the time. It's about how you finish. All right, so Chevy is saying that Ty's going pro. I think that someone said earlier, like we said, that someone had pointed out that maybe he's going to be coming back. All right, so Michael Palmer saying he's not confident with all the attrition followed by such likes work in the portal, just not able or willing to go out all like the winners are. Like I said, it's hard for me to argue with it because that is how things feel at this point, but hopefully they will get it fixed. All right, so this one right here from Ben saying that I think that we're still okay. As have a number of players coming in and there will be more to come. Okay, yeah. Yeah, and I'm not in the position either. I know that we talked about freshmen, but I'm really not at a point where I want to be like relying on the freshmen because, I mean, we did that last season. We played so many freshmen. You don't want to do that again. All right, so this one right here from G-Force is saying that Ty Simpson is going on to the NFL draft. All right, I definitely wish him well, and thank you for that, G-Force. I definitely wish him well, but man, That does suck. All right, so the audio's back going in and out. Audio's back going in and out. I wonder what the problem is, y'all. I'm not sure. Sorry about that. But let me get to this one, and then I guess we'll probably have to wrap it up just because we're having some technical difficulties. So Ben is saying that the staff does a good job. Yeah, with the players, I think that they do a pretty good job. All right, so audio's down. Hold on 1 second, y'all. Let me see if I can fix this. Bear with me. Let me see if I can figure out what the problem is. Let's see if we can figure it out real quick. Yeah, so everything is working on my end. So yeah, I'm not sure why that is. If y'all are listening on Bluetooth or something like that, that could be what the problem is. I know that we've had some issues on certain like Bluetooths. So maybe that's what it is. I'm seeing some people can hear it, some other people can't. But as far as what I'm seeing, everything should be perfectly fine. All right. So I'm sorry about that. I'm gonna work on figuring out exactly what that is. It may be, hopefully it's gonna be better for everyone moving forward. All right, but all right, so audio's down again. JPAT saying that his is good. All right. All right, cool. Thank y'all for letting me know though, man. Like for real. Appreciate y'all. They're saying that the YouTube servers might be crashing. That could be part of it as well. Let me get to Hennessy here. So Hennessy is saying that, so basically Hype left these portal guys on campus to go visit a 3-star dude from the 2027 class. Maybe those portal guys felt slighted that the head coach just left them on this visit. I think that could be possible, man. I just, like I said, we're going to talk with the members some more here very, very shortly. But overall, y'all, the whole point of what we covered today is that I think we got off to a slow start. There's some things that I still don't like from a management standpoint, from a CEO standpoint. So like with Coach Heupel, you got to have real dudes. And, when I say dudes, that could be men or women, doesn't matter. But people who are really good at talking to these guys, making them feel good. And like I said, I mean, if it's on top of your list, Heupel needs to be calling them personally. I think that he needs to be greeting them personally. His face needs to be there. Like, he's got to show face. He's got to spend time with the family and all of that. So I think that we could have done a better job of that earlier in this process and getting the guys that we really needed up on campus to make sure that we had the first crack at them, give them a really nice offer and see if they'll sign before they leave. That's how you need to play this moving forward if they get the chance to do it moving forward. But now that there are still some players left, we have to capitalize. We have to start to do more of what we should have done to start it off right now, and that's got to be an overdrive. They've got to be, I don't think that they have any more time to go visit high school players. I just don't. You still have plenty of time for those guys. Wait, and talk to them closer to like the end of the cycle. They could choose a program right now and you could still get them, but you got to go get the players that are coming into the portal for this year right now. So that needs to be, in my opinion, what the strategy is moving forward. And if they can do that, then a lot of folks are going to save their jobs. And as a fan base, I think that we'll be happy. We'll be perfectly fine. And we still have a chance to hit on all of our needs. So let me try to get to some more of these since I see that the audio is working. Again, thank y'all for letting me know. So from Kevin Smith saying a scheduled visit for Heupel, he doesn't spend every second with these guys. Let's get real. And you know what? Yeah, sure. He doesn't spend every second with these guys. I don't think that anyone's saying that. I don't think anyone's saying that he's got to spend every second with them. But what he does have to do, and I can tell you this from going through the process, he has to show the players how valuable they are to him. If you're scheduling a freaking visit, there's no excuse that an intern is making that call at all. Like, that is almost, in my opinion, if that's true, yeah, I would almost say he probably needs to be fired. Like, that's how serious of a stupid mishap that is. That is a huge problem. Can't do that. Like, you can't have time for anything else except for the transfer portal, and which means holding on to who you have, Jordan Ross and all, and then going out and getting players. He don't have time for nothing else. So, yeah, you can have scheduled visits and all of that, but what I would rather see him do with his time is go and take a nap, go and eat, go and shower, like go and get your mind right so that you're on top of your game whenever you do talk to these players and their families. He can't be with them all the time, but he needs to be just better. And what he's doing, or what he was doing, wasn't really working. So, yeah, that's how I feel about that. Don't be wasting time on no high school players, bro, because, like I say, 2027 is not really promised for you or anybody else on this staff. All right, so, John, okay. Yeah, so we already talked about Ross, man. I kind of gave my thoughts on it. All right, so Deshaun Bishop signed a new deal. That's cool. That's cool. Happy to hear that. hopefully we can get everybody, man, to sign new deals that we really need. We're doing a good job on the offense. I think that we're not doing the best job of holding on to the best players that we could have from our defense. There are still some very good ones, but Jordan Ross should have been on top of the list. Jordan Ross, Marion Da, all of the defensive tackles, all of the linebackers doing a really good job with our backers at this point. So got to give them credit for that. I think a lot of that's because Coach Inge is still here. Obviously, Ty Redmond, got to hold on to him. I mean, look, it's some other. I'm just gonna say it that way. I'm just gonna leave it there. Like, don't lose the guys that you know that you need. Just don't do that. All right. So Gryffindor is saying that what's my top 3 wants from who's left. So let me bring it back up and let's try to go through. Okay. Dang, I can only pick a top 3. Shoot. Because I could pick I could pick 2 or 3 just from the safeties. All right, so I guess we have to go with the safety. I haven't watched. I would say either Marvin Burks from this screen or Lyric Rawls because I haven't. I've seen Lane, but he not really popping off of the film to me, or he's not popping off inside of my mind at this point. So I would say either Marvin Burks or Lyric Rawls. Let me come back to these guys that we. Okay. So from here, shoot, man, only picking the top 3 is going to be tough because we need defensive tackles. So Gilliam, I'd put him up there. He's in my top 3. And then one of the 2 of Chaz Coleman and Damon Wilson. So I'm going to go Xavier Gilliam, either Chaz Coleman or Damon Wilson. And then I'm going to go Lyric Rawls or the other safety, Marvin Burks. That's pretty much it. Like, I think that we need one from defensive tackle, one from defensive end, and then one from safety, whoever the best are. All right. So now let me come back to the chat. Okay, so Kevin Smith is saying that he feels like people made too big of a deal about Heupel going on that visit. Yeah, maybe you could be right, but I would push back because we only have 2 players right now. So I think that it is very critical that we land more. Like, we need 13 or 14 players right now. We have 2. Several guys that were high up on our board have gone elsewhere. So I do think that it's fair to be critical of the head coach for whatever isn't going right, because at the end of the day, it's his job to get it right. And if you leave any room for people to say, oh, well, you were doing this when you could have been working on the portal, he's doing that to himself. You know what I mean? And in all honesty, it doesn't make sense. It's really ass backwards. Why are you out looking for 2027 players when you've got proven veterans up right now? I have to disagree, bro. And it's perfectly fine for you to feel how you feel, but I'm just saying for me, I would have to disagree. Okay, so this one is from Ben saying it sounds like Ross was concerned with the new system and the money was fine. Yeah, I don't know that there is a money problem, and I don't even he's concerned with the new system. I don't know really why he would be. I don't know what about the system would be concerning to him. In all honesty, you get to rush the passer more. You have to drop back into coverage less. Who's the guy from Penn State? Oh, but that was a different system. Yeah, maybe I can. I was gonna say, who's the guy from Penn State that went early in the first round last season? I feel like the Knowles system with the edge players is more like that. It's more like, hey, you get to rush a lot more, so your numbers are gonna look way better. But yeah, I think that Jordan Ross is a walking double-digit sack guy if he gets to start. I sincerely do. All right, so this one is saying, or from John saying, if I had a choice, I would not want Sam Levitt, but I'm curious what I think. Yeah, if I had a choice, a choice between him and who, right? But no, I'm not high on Sam Levitt. I'm not personally. That's something that we talked about earlier. So that's just it. Just is what it is, man. I think that we have to find another quarterback. I would think that if we could have done, or if we can finish strong and address all of the other needs on the team, like on defense, you don't need a super great quarterback. You just need someone that's going to take better care of the football. I think that Sam Levitt is too much of a gunslinger. I don't know if we want to go back to that, right? So with Joey Aguilar, we highlighted and we did this way, we started to talk about him before we even knew Tennessee was going to be getting him because we broke down so many quarterbacks. But with Joey Aguilar, we said, hey, he's got a big arm. He's a gunslinger. It's going to be, you'll get some touchdowns out of it. You'll get some interceptions out of it. We felt like the staff would do a pretty good job of minimizing all of his interceptions, which they did. But I thought that his ceiling for picks would be 8. I think he had what, like 11? I know that some of those were people dropping the football. Yeah, but as I've said before, some people are just unlucky. And that's just what it is. And I do think that Joey Aguilar has pretty much reached his ceiling. I don't think that him coming in, having another year in the system is going to really change anything. So, I mean, it might get like a little bit better, but really he kind of is who he is. We've still seen the same issues where whenever there's pressure, he'll throw it up off his back foot. He throws it up into double and triple coverage a lot. He can be late, throwing to the outside. Like literally go and watch the film breakdown on Joey Aguilar before we got him. We talked about all of these things and we saw it over the course of the year. So I'm saying all of that just to say that the problems that we saw with him, obviously we started to see it. It's more than likely going to be the same way with Sam Levitt. So I think that, yes, he can do some nice things, but for what we need, I don't think that he's the right pick for Tennessee. Now, he might just be our best option. You've got to go with the best option if that's how it ends up playing out. But that's just how I see it. It's fine if y'all see it differently. So, yeah, no, I mean, I would hope that we could either upgrade and get a better quarterback or – you know, you ride with daggum George McIntyre, hold on to him, go and get you a backup. And let's see how things go. Because I think that from a skill set standpoint, really GMAC is probably better. From a game management standpoint, from an operational standpoint, I think that George will be the better option. All right, so Matt. What's going on, Matt? Saying he's very concerned about our transfer portal results so far. Losing too many key players and not getting enough quality players so far is unacceptable. Yeah. I'm right there with you, man. Like I'm not disagreeing with none of that. We just gotta. My only point is that I'm optimistic, or I'm hopeful that we can finish strong because there are still some good quality names out there. Now, if we start to lose and there's no more good quality names, then I'm going to hit the freaking roof because yeah, that's totally inexcusable. You knew for how long that this was coming, and it felt like we were scrambling. It felt like we weren't ready. It felt like other teams are doing it better than us. That should not have happened. And it's not for money. So that's what makes it even more inexcusable. You got the resources. You're just not executing. So they have to start to execute now. So Ben is saying that the defensive needs are first and foremost. Yeah, I'm 1,000%. I'm right there with you, bro. Like 1 gazillion %. Tyler, what's going on, Tyler? Saying that I think I would like to have an elite defensive line like Miami and roll with the mediocre quarterback. Oh, I think that I would prefer that as well. I do, because we've got pretty much everything else. If you have a really good offensive line, which I think the Tennessee will have, we also need to make some tweaks to our system too. So I understand that part of it. I feel like that's almost like a given that we will make some more tweaks. But like without that, then we would need a really good quarterback because it's going to get tough. But either way, we got everything else on offense. Definitely do. But the defense has to keep us in ball games. The defense has to help us, you know, and we have to be able to help the defense as well by slowing that tempo down. All right, so John is saying that, yep, I'm tired of fans who don't watch film telling me Joey is a really good quarterback. I love the guy, but he's just not got the ceiling of the other guys. Yeah, and look, I know exactly what you're saying, or let me not put words in your mouth, but I think that what you're saying is that it's not that Joey isn't a good quarterback. It's just that, as you finished it with, there are guys with a higher ceiling. And, yeah, it's something that I would hope that more people will start to realize. Like, if you actually watch the game film, whenever you can see, oh, this is how many people were actually open on this play, and this is who he missed, so on and so forth. He threw it into double and triple coverage. And so, you know, like things like that, it does make it a lot easier, which is why I keep on saying patreon.com/SCC all 22 film is a great place for y'all to do just that. Excellent place for you to do just that. All right, so Gryffindor saying that we should have so much money open right now. That's a fact because we've lost a whole lot of folks. We've literally lost all of our big money guys. Yep, facts. Except for the wide receivers and Sanders. Yeah, so pretty much like except for the offensive players. Like you said, Lance Hurd, he's gone. So that does free up money, but I think that we'll be fine. We should have a ton of, yeah. Excuse me, dog. Yeah, we should. And I'm hoping that that's the case. I'm hoping that now we're opening up the checkbook some and saying, hey, you know what? We offered you, we'll just call it 1.5 million. Well, guess what? Now it's 2 million. And I would also say this, because this has been brought up with the whole Jordan Ross situation, and I kind of like skimmed past it. But with Jordan Ross, with him not feeling comfortable, if it's me, the money that we're about to probably spend on Sam Levitt, or that we would offer to a Sam Levitt, I would say, hey, Jordan, we're going to make you feel very comfortable with another $1 million. How's that sound? We're going to offer you another $1 million because we think that you're worth it, because we think that you've earned it, because we think that you're going to be a leader for this football team next season. And oh, by the way, we're going to bring in 2 more really good edge rushers to join you, to help you out, to make you look better so that you can't really get double teamed, so that your numbers skyrocket. We're going to rotate y'all. Y'all going to stay fresh. Everyone's going to get along, and we're going to put up some promos and some graphics and really boost it up. Is this the best defensive end room of all time? Man, look, let me get on the sales team for our balls. Let me talk to these players. But yeah, that's what I would have done instead of wasting up resources and all of that, with the whole Sam Levitt deal. Now, is that feasible? In all honesty, probably is, because Sam Levitt is probably coming in at about $3 million. Well, that's $3 extra million for 3 of those edge rushers: Jordan Ross, Chaz Coleman, Damon Wilson. There's your extra 3, right? That's what I would have done. That's how I would have played it. But it is what it is, right? Like, I'm not the head coach of the team, so Heupel sees it the way that he sees it. Do y'all also feel like maybe with Heupel being more of an offensive-minded guy, that he just falls in love and he maybe doesn't value the defense as much as he should? That's all another conversation. All right, so Matt saying losing the 2 defensive tackles to Texas Tech got me pissed off. Yeah, I was pissed off too, big dog. I was too, man. I was fired up yesterday. All right, so John is asking, have I looked at Edwin Joseph in the portal yet? He's a safety from Florida State. I haven't seen his film, but he is a guy that we brought up as someone that probably would be a good guy for us to look into. That the staff better have looked at all these guys, every single one of them. So good old Rocky Top is saying that Nico had a higher ceiling, but can they get there or not is the question. And Joey got closer to his than Nico. It's a hard thing to a point. So I get that too, and this is something that we talk about a lot, so I'm happy that you brought this up. The system was a lot more friendly for Joey Aguilar than it was for Nico. And again, I want for y'all to go and watch the film. I don't know how much of the 2024 season is up on the Patreon website, patreon.com/SEC all 22 film, but I'm sure the some will be up there shortly, right? Nico was working with an offense that literally, I would say, over 90% of what we did was vertical. It was 100% veer and shoot. So we're either throwing it down the field vertical or it's underneath vertical. How veer and shoot works, y'all, is it's choice routes. So based off of what the defense does, you have a choice to basically run like a deeper route or a shorter route. What teams started to do is that drop 8, that shells coverage, all the things that you've heard the offensive staff talk about, Coach Halsley, Coach Heupel, over the offseason, that we also talked about on this channel, that was killing our passing game. That's what they did. Down the field, in all honesty, y'all, again, about 90% or so, maybe about 90 might be too high. I would say about 80% of the time, Nico was looking at everything being covered up. Nobody was open, like at all, for 80% of the passing plays. Nobody was going to come in and operate well in that offense at quarterback, period. That's the truth. That's what a lot of folks don't want to tell you, but that is the truth. Now, we made all of the adjustments in the offseason, and a lot of what we did are things that Joey Aguilar was used to doing at App State anyway. All of the boots, side of the pistol, all of the, like crossing patterns with different route concepts, like the post over that Coach Seth added, some of that type of stuff. Joey was more used to doing that than any of our quarterbacks that were still left on campus. So he actually had a head start with all that anyway. He's been running that for a long time. So he comes into the system, and the picture, especially early on, was a lot more clear. We had people wide open, a lot. So I did want to point that out, because people think that because you can't see the whole field, but that's the truth. I'm not trying to take away from Joey, but what I am trying to tell you is that if the staff gives the proper answers, there is still a higher level of operation that you always want to get to, always. And it's not just about having a certain skill set from a strong arm, from being fast and all that. It's also from understanding how to read the field properly. Now, that is something that I'm not sure that necessarily Nico was great at, but he wasn't asked to do it in the veer and shoot system. There is no real ring. You have 2 options. You've got your first option, and then you've got the second option, which makes the space for the first option. If the first option isn't there, you see if the second option is there. If it's not, you're asked to run. That's the veer and shoot system. That's what we were running. all the way up to the start of this year. So I did want to put that out there just so the people understand. You know what I mean? So thank you for bringing that up so that we had a chance to kind of clear it up. All right, so Legendary Larry is saying that Ross was not productive this year. Is he even worth keeping? So Jordan Ross was the third, he got the third most snaps out of Joshua Josephs and Caleb Herring. Let me actually bring this back up. Let me bring this back up so that I can show y'all, which this is part of the reason that we even looked at this. This is part of the reason that I wanted to bring this up to show you what the actual pressure rate was. Okay, so boom. Let me bring this back up. So in the second from the right column, you can see the pressure rate. And this is all in order, okay? So Chaz Coleman saw less snaps than Jordan Ross did. That's not up here, but I'm just telling y'all. But his pressure rate was higher, 23%. Jordan Ross was at 10.6%. It was higher than Caleb Herring's, who was at 8.8%. But it was also lower than Joshua Josephs, who was at 16.8%. So from that standpoint, maybe you could say it. But also, just like as far as impact plays, which I should have put up here, but I wanted to save some space. As far as impact plays, like forcing fumbles and all of that, Jordan Ross would have been like the highest on this list. He had a ton of impact plays, but he just didn't play that much. So if you're just looking at his stats on like an ESPN, it's not going to look super great for that reason. He didn't play as much as the other guys. But yes, I think that he definitely would have been worth it because from a skill set, again, let me pull this back up. Look at the speeds. He's the fastest guy up here, 20.3 miles per hour. So him versus like a Chaz Coleman, he's at 17.5. Damon Wilson, very close, 20.2. But look at Jordan Ross versus Joshua Josephs, 18.7. Caleb Herring, exact same speed, 18.7. So from a skill set standpoint, he is, I'm telling you, he's going to be a walking double-digit sack guy. I'm just going to tell y'all that out the gates, man. Out the gates. All right, so let me see what else we got from our members. And look, thank y'all for the questions, too. Love these questions. So Chad is saying, why don't we tamper with Shady Hayward and get him? Yeah, I would like to get him back, too. I'm going to tell you something about Shady. I think that he's a dog. Shady might be more of a linebacker. I think that's where Tennessee had him at previously. We're like, well, he could come in, he could start off at safety, but he's probably going to grow into a linebacker. I think that's what Shady Hayward is really, that's probably where his highest ceiling is at, is like at a linebacker. Because I think he would be a tremendously, he'd be a great linebacker. But far as safety go, I think that he'd be good there too. He might have to lose some weight because it looks like he's about 215, 220, like already. So Chess also saying that I know it feels like the sky's falling, but Vol Nation, especially Vol Twitter, needs to relax. Yeah, until after the portal closes because players and their families read this stuff. Yeah, and I'm right there with you. I don't think that the sky's falling. I think that we do have to speed some things up and get some things moving. It feels like we're trending to do just that. And until we see that, hey, there's really no options left at any position of major need, defensive tackle, safety, even corner, but less corner. But with those first two, if there's no really good options left and we're stuck without adding anybody, then yeah, I think that everything would be warranted. It's time to start probably going off because there's just no excuse. So John is saying that Jordan Ross hitting damn near 21 miles per hour at his size is so impressive. Yep. So he's up there. Like those are close to James Pierce numbers. So James Pierce off of the same place where I got those metrics from, I think he might have gotten up to like 23 miles per hour one year. Might have, and that's all with pads on. Don't quite quote me on that because I'm not sure. It might have been 23% pass rush or pressure rate, but he was in that ballpark though. Yeah, I mean that's most definitely moving. Okay, so Matt is saying any chance that the EK comes back? He's a I don't know. I mean, I think that we could probably get him back if we really wanted him. I don't know, though. It's going to be interesting because, yeah, I think that he's got a pretty good skill set. So Joey is saying that I think that this portal may cost Hype his job if we don't do extremely well next season. Yeah, I think that if they can't have some tangible evidence of, man, we brought in this player, that player, and, whoop-de-whoop, it's going to be very hard for them to overcome having a lackluster season. Because everyone's going to point back to this. They'll say, well, if you went out to the portal, if you did a better job, we wouldn't be in this spot, whether it's true or whether it's true or false. If you at least bring in really good players, then it's not as much of that. It'll be more about some other things, and the fans might want to give them an opportunity, Okay, so let me get to this right here from J-Pat. So J-Pat saying that Pierce did hit 23 miles per hour when he got the interception in the ball game. Yep, okay, so that's what I thought. So, yeah, so James Pierce, a little bit of a different thing with the straight line speed. But also with Jordan Ross, he probably played enough snaps that I think that he, probably got to his top speed. But a lot of times, like with the interception, Pat, um, you know, James Pierce gets the chance to really run. Like you really got to be able to open it up. I think that Jordan Ross could be that same type of speed. So anyway, y'all, that's gonna do it, man. Appreciate y'all. We will have a member out for the member, or we will have a video out for our members with some inside information. Just kind of like talking about some more like in-depth things. If y'all would like to hear, then y'all can join us on YouTube by clicking on the join button just below this video, or on Patreon at patreon.com/Bluechip Breakdown. Now, as far as the inside information, that's only for the top tiers on YouTube or on Patreon. So wanted to make sure that y'all did know that. But of course, we still have plenty of other content. Patreon, you can go and join there for free. They have mechanisms where we can actually talk and chat and interact. Y'all can interact with me, message me, or with other members there. So, there's whichever way y'all want to do it. If you want to do both, that's perfectly fine too. But hey, man, let me get to this one right here from Tien Jr. What's going on, bro? Going on, bro? And then this one right here from John. Okay, saying he'll never start for today. Yeah, I'm right there with you. I mean, I'm not saying he'll never start. I think that he has a really good skill set. He's very talented, but it's tough because with a guy that hasn't played, like he didn't grow up playing football, he's still, I think, getting used to it. But I think he was getting close. So either way, y'all, appreciate you. And we'll be talking to y'all later on, probably today for the members. All right, thanks, peace.